The door creaked open like a gunshot in the dead of night, and there he was, Justin, my unbreakable straight-arrow roommate, sprawled on his bed in nothing but boxer briefs, a half-empty whiskey bottle dangling from his fingers, his eyes wild and glassy as he belted out a slurred rendition of some old Springsteen tune about lost highways and broken hearts. I froze in the doorway, heart slamming against my ribs, because this wasn't the Justin I knew. The golden boy from Ohio with the easy grin and the girlfriends lined up like ducks in a row. No, this was a man unraveling, his voice cracking on the chorus as tears carved tracks down his stubbled cheeks. "What the fuck, man?" I whispered, but he just locked eyes with me, that bold, reckless fire igniting, and in one fluid, alcohol-fueled motion, he lunged forward, grabbing my shirt collar and pulling me into the storm of him, his lips crashing against mine like the world was ending right there in our shitty NYU dorm. That kiss tasted like bourbon and regret, sharp and burning, the kind that sears your soul before you even realize you're on fire. Justin's hands were rough, calloused from years of pickup basketball games on the cracked courts of Washington Square Park, gripping my shoulders like I was the only anchor in his spinning universe. I didn't pull away, not at first. How could I? For 3 years, since that awkward freshman orientation mixer where we'd bonded over shitty dorm pizza and a mutual hatred for our pretentious lit prof, I'd been nursing this quiet ache for him. Justin Hayes, with his sun-kissed skin from Ohio summers and that laugh that could light up a blackout in the village. Straight as a ruler, or so he swore, every time he dragged another sorority girl back to our suite for a night of what he called harmless fun. But now, here he was, bold as brass, pressing me against the doorframe, his breath hot and ragged against my neck. "Justin, dude, what the hell?" I finally managed, shoving him back just enough to break the seal, my voice a hoarse whisper laced with equal parts terror and thrill. The room spun a little, or maybe that was just me, the air thick with the scent of his cologne, something cheap and woodsy from the Duane Reade down the block, and the faint, acrid tang of vomit from the trash can he'd clearly missed earlier. Rain hammered the window like impatient fingers, blurring the neon glow of the city lights outside into a hazy watercolor of red and blue. He staggered back onto the bed, the mattress springs groaning under his weight, and ran a hand through his messy blonde hair, leaving it standing up in defiant spikes. His blue eyes, usually so clear and cocky, were bloodshot, fractured. "Fuck, Austin," he slurred, the words tumbling out like they'd been bottled up too long. I just can't do this anymore. The girls, the parties, pretending like everything's fine when it's all bullshit. You get it, right? You've always gotten me. I sank onto the edge of his desk chair, the cold metal biting through my jeans, trying to steady my pulse. Me, Austin Rivera, the quiet art major from Queens with the sketchbook full of half-finished portraits of him. Stolen moments from study sessions, his profile sharp against the glow of his laptop screen. I'd never said a word about it, not to him, not to anyone. Coming out in high school had been brutal enough. The whispers in the hallways, the Bible-thumping uncle who stopped showing up for Thanksgiving. NYU was supposed to be my fresh start, a place where I could bury the longing under layers of charcoal smudges and late-night diner runs. But Justin? He was the complication I never saw coming. "Tell me what's going on," I said, leaning forward, my elbows on my knees. The clock on his nightstand blinked 2:17 a.m., the digital numbers mocking us with their indifference. Outside, a siren wailed, the eternal soundtrack of Manhattan. He took a long pull from the bottle, wincing as it went down, then set it aside with a clink. "It's Sarah. Or wait, no, it's all of them. Tonight at that Kappa party." She cornered me in the kitchen, all giggles and Jaeger shots, and I just froze. Couldn't even fake it. Kept thinking about you, man. About how easy it is with you. No games, no bullshit. He laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that echoed off the peeling wallpaper. What kind of straight guy thinks like that? I'm losing my goddamn mind. My throat tightened, a knot of hope and dread twisting inside me. This was the moment I dreamed of in the dark, alone in my bed just feet away, listening to the rhythm of his breathing through the thin wall. But dreams don't account for the wreckage. "You're drunk," I said gently, standing up to grab a glass of water from the mini fridge we'd crammed into the corner. "We'll talk in the morning. Crash here." I'll take the couch. But he wasn't having it. In a blur of motion, he was on his feet again, closing the distance between us, his fingers brushing my arm. Tentative now, like he was testing the waters of some forbidden sea. Don't, he murmured, his voice dropping to that low timbre that always made my stomach flip. Stay, please. I don't know what I need, Austin. But it's you. We talked, or rather, he spilled, until the rain tapered off and the first gray light of dawn crept under the blinds. Stories I'd never heard. The pressure from his dad, a burly ex-Marine who'd shipped him off to the city with warnings about city temptations and staying true to the faith. The hookups that left him hollow, staring at the ceiling afterward, wondering why it never felt right. And me, always me, the constant in his chaos, the one who patched him up after bad breakups with takeout Thai and bad action flicks. By the time he passed out, curled on his side with one arm flung over the pillow like a shield, I was wrecked. I pulled the blanket over him, my hand lingering on his shoulder, tracing the faint scar from a childhood bike crash he'd told me about once. What now? Pretend it was the whiskey talking? Or finally let the truth out? Risk the friendship that had become my lifeline in this sprawling, indifferent city? I slipped out to the living room. Our suite was really just 2 bedrooms off a cramped common area with a sagging couch and a coffee table scarred from too many beer pong tournaments. Collapsing onto the cushions, I stared at the ceiling cracks that mapped out like veins, my mind replaying the kiss on loop. Bold. That's what he'd been, bold in a way that shattered every assumption I'd built around him. Justin Hayes, the guy who'd high-fived me after my first Pride parade, clueless and cheering like it was just another bar crawl. Straight, I'd told myself 1,000 times. Unattainable. Sleep came in fits, haunted by what-ifs. When I woke to the smell of burnt coffee, he was in the kitchenette, shirtless in sweatpants, poking at the ancient Mr. Coffee machine with a sheepish grin. Morning, sunshine. You look like shit. So do you, I shot back, forcing a laugh as I joined him, our shoulders brushing in the narrow space. Domestic. Normal. But the air hummed with unspoken electricity. Every glance loaded. We didn't talk about it. Not that day. Instead, we fell into routine. Classes at Tisch, where I'd lose myself in figure drawing while he aced his business seminars across campus at Stern. Afternoons wandering the East Village, debating the merits of street art versus corporate billboards, his arms slung casually over my shoulders like always. But now, that casualness felt charged, a live wire humming just beneath the surface. It was a week later, over greasy slices at Joe's Pizza on Carmine Street, that he cracked the seal again. The place was packed, the din of chatter and sizzling cheese a comforting roar, but he leaned in close, his knee pressing against mine under the rickety table. About the other night, I wasn't as wasted as you think. And I don't regret it. My slice hovered mid-air, pepperoni dripping onto the wax paper. Justin, hear me out. His eyes were steady now, no haze of liquor to blame. I'm scared shitless, okay? But I'm tired of running from it. From this. He gestured vaguely between us, the gesture encompassing years of inside jokes, shared secrets, the way he'd crash on my bed during thunderstorms because your room smells better. I swallowed hard, the city noise fading to a distant buzz. What does that even mean? You're you, the king of hetero hookups. He winced, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, well, maybe the crown's slipping. Or maybe it was never mine to begin with. A pause, heavy as the humid August air. Go out with me, like a real date. No labels, no pressure. Just us. My heart stuttered, a wild bird in my chest. This was insanity, beautiful, terrifying insanity. Okay, I breathed, the words slipping out before reason could catch it. But if this blows up, it won't. He grinned, that old cocky flash, but softer now, laced with vulnerability. Promise. Our first date was nothing fancy. A walk across the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset, the skyline ablaze in oranges and pinks, the East River churning below like a vein of molten silver. He held my hand tentatively at first, fingers interlacing with mine. His palm sweaty but sure. We talked about everything and nothing. His dreams of Wall Street glory clashing with my vague notions of gallery shows in Soho, the way the bridge's cables hummed like guitar strings in the wind. Halfway across, he stopped, pulling me close against the railing, the city sprawling out like a promise. "This feels right," he murmured, his forehead resting against mine. And then he kissed me again. Not bold and desperate, but slow, deliberate, like he was memorizing the shape of my mouth. The world narrowed to that point of contact, the distant honk of taxis a faint echo. Back in the dorm that night, things escalated in ways I'd only fantasized about. Clothes shed in a trail from the door to the bed. His body lean and mapped with freckles I'd traced in my mind 100 times. He was tentative, exploratory, his touches laced with wonder and a hint of awe, like he was discovering a new language. "God, Austin," he gasped against my skin. "You feel like home." It was messy, imperfect, laughter bubbling up when elbows knocked, whispers of reassurance in the dark. But it was real, raw, the kind of intimacy that stitches souls together. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, he confessed more. The confusion that had simmered since high school, the crushes on teammates he'd buried under layers of bravado. "I thought it was just curiosity," he said, his head on my chest. "But it's you. It's always been you." I held him tighter, my fingers carding through his hair, believing, for the first time, that maybe, just maybe, we could rewrite the script. Fall semester blurred into a haze of stolen moments and secret highs. By September's end, the leaves in Central Park were turning, a riot of crimson and gold that mirrored the flush on Justin's cheeks whenever our eyes met across a crowded lecture hall. We'd carved out this fragile bubble. Mornings tangled in my bed before his 8 a.m. econ class, his goodbye kisses tasting of toothpaste and promise. Afternoons in the library's third-floor stacks, where he'd pull me into the shadows for heated makeouts that left books toppled and my knees weak. "You're addictive," he'd whisper, nipping at my earlobe, his voice a gravelly drawl that sent shivers down my spine. But bubbles are fragile things, especially in a city that thrives on popping them. The first crack came at a Stern networking mixer in mid-October. One of those stuffy affairs in a midtown high-rise with overpriced cocktails and alumni in power suits droning about internships. Justin had dragged me along. Moral support, he'd called it, his hand firm on my lower back as we navigated the sea of khakis and pearls. I stuck to the fringes, nursing a gin and tonic, sketching the crowd in my pocket notebook. The way a recruiter's laugh never reached her eyes, the slump of a freshman's shoulders under invisible weight. That's when I saw her, Elena Vasquez, a transfer from Colombia with cascading dark waves and a laugh like wind chimes. She was in Justin's supply chain management seminar. He'd mentioned her once in passing. Smart as hell, total shark. Now, she was all over him, her hand lingering on his arm as they chatted by the hors d'oeuvres, her body language screaming intent. He glanced my way once, twice, a flicker of unease in his eyes, but the conversation flowed, easy and animated. I told myself it was nothing. Justin was charming. It was his superpower. But when he finally extricated himself, sliding up beside me with a flute of champagne, the guilt in his posture was palpable. "Hey, you okay? You vanished." "Fine," I lied, forcing a smile as I flipped my notebook shut. "Just people watching. Elena seems nice." He shifted, rubbing his jaw. "Yeah, she's intense." Asked about my type. I said artistic souls. His fingers found mine, squeezing in the pocket of my jacket, a covert reassurance. But the seed of doubt had been planted, tiny and insidious, sprouting roots in the fertile soil of my insecurities. That night, back in the dorm, the bubble strained. We tumbled into bed, seeking solace in skin, but his touches were hurried, almost frantic, like he was trying to erase the evening's echoes. "Tell me I'm not fucking this up," he murmured afterward, his face buried in the crook of my neck, breath hot and uneven. "You're not," I soothed, tracing lazy circles on his back. "We're good. Better than good." But lies have a way of festering. By November, the whispers started, subtle at first, like the rustle of leaves before a storm. We'd always been close, The inseparable duo everyone envied. Justin with his effortless charisma, me with my quiet intensity. Now, classmates shot sidelong glances in the cafeteria. A Kappa girl named Brooke cornering me after figure drawing. "So, you and Justin, it's a thing, right?" Spill. I played dumb, heat crawling up my neck. "What? Nah, just brothers." She smirked, unconvinced. "Sure, but word's out. People saw you too at that indie film fest in Brooklyn. All cozy." The film fest, our one reckless public outing, hands linked in the dark of the Nighthawk cinema as Moonstruck flickered on screen. We'd laughed it off as date night vibes. But apparently, eyes were everywhere. Justin took it harder. "This is bullshit," he exploded one evening, pacing our common room like a caged tiger, the floorboards creaking under his bare feet. A half-eaten Domino's box sat forgotten on the coffee table, grease spots blooming like bruises. "I came out to my folks last week. Ripped the Band-Aid, told him everything, and Dad just hung up. No yelling, no nothing. Silence. And now this? Campus turning us into some tabloid." I reached for him, but he flinched, not from anger but exhaustion. "Hey, breathe. We'll lay low. It's temporary." But laying low meant isolation, a slow suffocation. No more bridge walks, no hand-holding in Washington Square. Instead, coded texts during lectures, "Miss your face," and midnight confessions over the phone when one of us crashed at a friend's. The distance gnawed at me, turning affection into anxiety. Every unanswered ping a potential fracture. Then came the betrayal, swift and surgical, slicing through our fragile peace like a scalpel. It was the weekend before Thanksgiving, the city emptying out as students fled to family hearths. We'd planned a quiet staycation. Dim sum in Chinatown, a matinee of Rent on Broadway, then holed up with wine and Netflix. But Justin bailed last minute, a vague family emergency via text, leaving me staring at my phone in the empty dorm, the radiator hissing like accusatory laughter. I didn't buy it. Not after the past week's tension, his evasive glances, the way he'd started lingering after business club meetings. So I did what any lovesick idiot would. I tracked him. A quick scroll through his Instagram stories, blurry shots of a holiday pop-up bar in Chelsea, and there he was, tagged in Elena's post. Stern Squad, arms around her and Brooke, shots raised in a toast, his smile wide but brittle. The bar was a twinkling cave of fairy lights and mulled cider, packed with post-grad hopefuls in cashmere sweaters. I hovered in the doorway, hood up against the chill, watching as Elena leaned into him, her lips brushing his ear in what looked like intimate advice or invitation. He laughed, tossing his head back, but his eyes scanned the room, landing on me for a split second before darting away. Rage boiled up, hot and unfamiliar, propelling me forward. "Justin!" He startled, color draining from his face as he disentangled from the group. "Austin? What the how'd you? Does it matter?" I hissed, voice low to avoid a scene, but venom sharp. Elena eyed us curiously, Brooke whispering something that made her smirk. "Family emergency, huh? This your idea of dealing with shit?" His jaw tightened, a muscle ticking. "It's not what you think. Just blowing off steam. Networking. Bullshit." The word exploded softer than I intended, but it hung there, heavy. "You're running. Again." The argument spilled out onto the sidewalk, the November wind whipping our words into the night. "I'm trying, okay?" he shouted, hands fisted in his hair. "This isn't easy for me." The stares, the questions. My RA pulled me aside today, all concerned about my personal life. "I need space to breathe." Space. I laughed, bitter and broken. "Or an out. Back to the straight life. Elena as your alibi." He recoiled as if slapped. "That's not fair. You think I don't want this? But it's tearing me apart. Austin. I love you. Fuck. I do. But what if I can't hack it? What if I'm just broken?" The confession landed like a gut punch, stealing my breath. "Love." He'd said it, raw and unfiltered, but twisted with fear. "Then we face it together?" I pleaded, stepping closer, the streetlights casting our shadows long and tangled. Not like this. But he shook his head, eyes glistening. I need time. Alone. And with that, he turned, vanishing into the bar's warmth, leaving me adrift in the cold. Thanksgiving was a blur of forced cheer in Queens. Mom's overcooked turkey, Abuela's stories of old Havana, the family photos where I smiled like nothing hurt. But inside, I was hollow, replaying the fight on loop, the word love, a lifeline I couldn't grasp. Back at NYU, the dorm felt cavernous, his sides stripped bare. Bed made with military precision, posters rolled up, a single note on the fridge, talk soon. J. Weeks dragged into December, midterms a merciful distraction. I threw myself into finals. Charcoal portraits that bled emotion onto the page, my professor pulling me aside after crit. This is your best yet, Rivera. Keep channeling that fire. But the fire was Justin, flickering out. He texted sporadically, miss you. Elena's just a friend. Dad called, it's rough. Can we try again? Each ping a spark. But I held back, the betrayal scar too fresh. Prove it. I replied once, terse and tired. Christmas break split us further. Him to Ohio's snow-blanketed farms, me to a cousin's in Jersey. New Year's Eve found me at a queer bar in the village, bass thumping through my veins as I danced with strangers, their hands anonymous anchors. But nothing stuck. Every laugh echoed hollow, every kiss tasted wrong. Spring semester dawned brittle, the city thawing but our rift frozen. Justin returned tanned and distant, Elena on his arm at a campus coffee shop sighting that gutted me. It's platonic, he swore when we finally collided in the hallway, his dorm keychain jangling like accusations. She's helping with my resume. Right? I snapped, brushing past. Because that's what you do. Network your way out of feelings. The Cold War escalated. Shared spaces turned battlegrounds, silences thick as fog. I'd catch him watching me in the common room, eyes hungry and haunted, but pride or fear kept us apart. Friends noticed, tiptoeing around the elephant. Our mutual pal Marcus cornering me after pickup ball, sweat-soaked jersey clinging. Fix it, man. You two are killing each other. But fixing meant forgiving, and forgiveness felt like surrender. Until the night of the stern formal late April, when the universe conspired to crack us open. The formal was the event of the season for Justin's crowd. Black tie glamour in the NYU Skirball Center, chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold, the air scented with orchids and ambition. I'd sworn off going, too raw, too close to the bone. But Marcus guilted me into a +1 spot for a theater pal's date swap. Be the bigger man, he said, clapping my shoulder. Or at least look hot doing it. So there I was, in a borrowed slim-fit tux from the thrift shop on St. Mark's. Collar too tight, heart hammering as I scanned the crowd from the balcony. Justin stood out like a beacon below. Tuxedo sharp, hair slicked, Elena on his arm in a crimson gown that hugged her curves. They made a picture, polished, enviable, the kind that fueled tabloid dreams. But his smile was a mask, tight at the edges, and when her hand slipped to his waist, he stiffened, eyes flicking upward to where I lurked. Our gazes locked across the void, a current arcing between us, invisible but electric. He excused himself mid-conversation, weaving through the throng with purpose, Elena's puzzled stare trailing him. I met him at the top of the stairs, the marble cool under my palms as I gripped the railing for balance. You came, he said, voice rough like he'd swallowed glass. Up close, he smelled of cedar and nerves, his bow tie askew. Couldn't miss the show. Sarcasm dripped, but my resolve wavered under the weight of his proximity. The way his chest rose and fell too fast. He stepped closer, crowding my space, the murmur of the party a distant hum. Austin, please. This us, it's killing me. Elena's nothing. A shield. But every time I see you, it's like breathing again. Then drop the act, I challenged, voice low and fierce. Stop hiding, or let me go for real. His hand shot out, cupping my jaw, thumb brushing my lip, a touch so tender it nearly undid me. I can't let you go. That's the problem. And then he kissed me, Right there in the alcove's shadow, defiant and deep, the world narrowing to the salt of his desperation mingling with my own. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the risk humming like adrenaline. Upstairs, he whispered, nodding to the empty lounge above. Now, the lounge was a forgotten oasis. Velvet sofas, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the glittering skyline. The party's base a muffled heartbeat. We crashed together like waves on rock, Tuck's jackets shed in haste, his fingers fumbling with my shirt buttons as mine yanked at his belt. I love you, he growled against my throat, the words a vow etched in heat. Fucked up, scared shitless, but yours. Clothes pooled on the carpet, bodies mapping familiar territories with renewed hunger. He was bolder now, confident in his skin, tracing my tattoos. The faded rainbow flag inked on my hip from a rebellious 18th birthday, with lips and tongue, murmuring praises that made me arch and beg. We moved slow at first, savoring the reclamation, then urgent, the sofa creaking under our rhythm, windows fogging from shared breaths. Afterward, spent and sated, we lay tangled, his head on my stomach, fingers interlaced. The city sprawled below, indifferent witness. No more games, he promised, voice sleepy but sure. I'm all in. Summer sealed it. We sublet a walk-up in Williamsburg, a shoebox with exposed brick and a fire escape that became our private perch for stargazing over the East River. Days blurred into freelance gigs, me illustrating for a queer zine, him interning at a startup in Dumbo. Nights into exploration, bodies and boundaries pushed in the soft glow of string lights. We cooked badly together, pasta boiling over as we made out against the counter. Argued over playlists, his classic rock clashing with my indie folk. Made love on the rooftop under a meteor shower, the universe winking approval. But summer's idyll couldn't outrun autumn's shadows. Senior year loomed, with its capstone projects and job hunts, and Justin's family rift festered. A terse email from his mom. We're praying for you, son. Come home for Labor Day. Sent him spiraling, pacing the fire escape with a beer, the bottle sweating in his grip. It's not just Dad, he confessed one humid night. The city hum a lullaby below. Mom's trying, but the church group's whispering. Aunt Karen called me confused, like it's a phase I can pray away. I slid the window open, joining him on the narrow metal platform, our knees touching. Screw them. You're enough. He leaned into me, head on my shoulder. With you? Yeah. But without? I don't know. The first real test came in September, back at NYU for our final semester. Justin landed a coveted spot at a finance expo in Boston, 3 days of schmoozing with headhunters, and Elena, ever the networker, tagged along as his study buddy. It's professional, he assured me, packing his duffel with that earnest puppy dog look. Promise. I nodded, swallowing jealousy like bile. Just text me. A lot. Boston was a black hole of silence. Spotty check-ins, a blurry selfie of the harbor at sunset, then nothing. Paranoia bloomed. Texts to Marcus confirming Elena's social media glowed with expo pics. Justin cropped in group shots, arms slung casually over her shoulder. Networking, I chanted, but doubt whispered louder. On day 3, a call at 2 a.m. His voice slurred, background noise a bar's roar. Austin? Shit, I miss you. Expo's killer, but it's all fake. Elena keeps pushing drinks, saying I need to loosen up for the recruiters. Red flags waved. Where are you? Some dive near Fenway. Harmless. But harmless cracked when Elena's Instagram story popped up an hour later. Justin, mid-laugh, her lips on his cheek in a congrats peck, caption winning. My vision tunneled, phone slipping from numb fingers. He stumbled through the door at dawn the next day, reeking of stale beer and regret, duffel thudding to the floor. What the fuck happened? I demanded, rising from the couch where I'd white-knuckled the night away. Nothing. He threw his hands up, eyes wild. She kissed my cheek, big deal. It was a group thing. A group thing where you're wasted and she's all over you? My voice cracked, the hurt spilling unchecked. I'm trying so hard to trust you, Justin. But this feels like betrayal reloaded. He deflated, sinking onto the bed, head in hands. I know. I fucked up. The pressure, it's everywhere. Recruiters asking about my personal stability. Mom texting Bible verses. I just drank to forget. Forget us? The question hung, a guillotine. No. He looked up, eyes raw. Never. But maybe we need a break. To figure out if I can do this without dragging you down. The word break landed like a bomb. Shrapnel embedding deep. A break? After everything. Temporary, he pleaded, reaching for me. Just until I sort my head. I jerked away, the chasm widening. That's coward talk. You either fight for us or you don't. We shattered that morning. Words like shrapnel. Accusations of clinging to straight privilege. Retorts of unfair pressure. By noon he was gone. Crashing with Marcus, his half of the closet emptied like a gutted fish. The weeks that followed were a descent. Classes blurred into grayscale. My sketches turning abstract, jagged lines of pain. Friends rallied. Marcus dragging me to dive bars. A one-night stand with a barista named Theo that left me emptier. But Justin haunted every corner. His favorite bench in the park. The bodega where we'd grab midnight falafel. Texts went unanswered. Voicemails a wasteland. Then the gut punch. A mutual friend's party invite. His plus one? Elena. I skipped it, curling up with a bottle of cheap Merlot. The city lights mocking through rain-streaked windows. He chose easy, the wine whispered. You were the experiment. But experiments don't carve your heart out. Mid-October, a olive branch. A manila envelope slid under the door. No note. Inside, tickets to Angels in America at the Public Theater. Our shared obsession, Kushner's queer epic of love and loss. Date, Halloween night. I went alone. The theater's hush amplifying my solitude. The stage a mirror to our wreckage. As Prior Walter raged against abandonment, tears streamed silent. The couple beside me shifting uncomfortably. Intermission found me in the lobby, splashing water on my face, when he appeared. Ghostly in the dim light, suit rumpled, eyes shadowed. Austin. His voice broke on my name. I stiffened, steeling myself. What do you want, Justin? You. This. He gestured to the posters, the crowd. I bought them before the break. Thought. Hoped. Hoped I'd wait. Bitterness edged my tone. But underneath, yearning throbbed. He stepped closer, desperate. I was wrong. The break was stupid, made everything worse. Elena, a mistake, a crutch. I ended it, told everyone. And my family. I wrote Dad a letter. No response yet, but it's out there. My resolve cracked, the theater bell tolling like judgment. Why now? Because losing you showed me. I can't breathe without you. You're my North Star, Austin. My everything. The second act blurred through tears, his hand finding mine in the dark, tentative then firm. Afterward, we walked the village in silence, autumn leaves crunching underfoot, until he stopped under a street lamp's glow. Forgive me. I searched his face, the boy I'd fallen for overlaid with the man he'd become. Flawed, fierce, fighting. One more chance, I said, pulling him close. But no more shields. Swear. His kiss was apology and absolution, salt and sweet. Winter wrapped us in tentative thaw. The city blanketed in snow that muffled old hurts. We rebuilt brick by brick. Therapy sessions for him at the student health center. Unpacking the closet. He joked, but his eyes were serious, coupled with date nights that felt sacred, like church without the judgment. One frigid December evening, we ice skated at Bryant Park, his arms around my waist as we wobbled like fools, laughter echoing off the holiday lights. This is us, he said, spinning me under the tree, breath fogging the air. Clumsy, but real. Graduation loomed like a finish line, fraught with futures. I scored a junior graphic designer gig at a queer-owned agency in Bushwick, vibrant briefs for pride campaigns, a salary that covered rent on a proper one-bedroom in Bed-Stuy. Justin, Goldman Sachs came calling, a junior analyst spot in their Manhattan tower, the kind of offer that screamed stability but whispered golden handcuffs. "It's a start," he said over celebratory ramen in Nolita, chopsticks clacking. "But if it's soul-sucking, I bolt." For us, his family remained a specter. Christmas cards arrived and signed, a silent standoff. But New Year's brought a olive branch. His mom, voice trembling over FaceTime from their farmhouse kitchen, flour-dusted apron and all. "We saw your interview in the alumni mag, Justin. Proud. And sorry. Can we try?" He cried after, ugly sobs into my shoulder on the subway home, the L train rattling like applause. "It's not fixed," he murmured. "But it's something." Spring bloomed defiant, cherry blossoms dusting Washington Square like confetti. We threw a joint grad party in our new apartment. Exposed beams, thrift store art on the walls, friends spilling onto the fire escape with cheap rose and a playlist of our anthems. Springsteen for him, Hosier for me. Marcus toasted us sloppily. To the boys who broke the mold and each other and came out swinging, laughter roared, but later, alone in the quiet, Justin pulled me onto the bed, slow and reverent. "You're my miracle," he whispered, mapping my body like sacred text, yet cracks lingered subtle as hairlines in glass. Justin's job swallowed him. 80-hour weeks, BlackBerry buzzing at dawn, dinners reduced to takeout in his lap as he pored over spreadsheets. "It's temporary," he'd say, kissing my temple, but exhaustion etched lines around his eyes, the bold boy fading into a corporate ghost. The real fracture hit in June, post-grad haze lifting into the grind. A work retreat in the Hamptons, team-building schmoozefest, and he returned changed. Sun-kissed but distant, a new edge to his silences. "Met the bigwigs," he explained over craft beers at our local, the bar's neon buzzing. "Talked paths, partnerships." I nodded, fork spearing my burger, but intuition prickled. "And," he hesitated, beer foaming over the rim as he set it down too hard. "They asked about settling down. Stability. Mentioned how Elena's engaged now, happily," they said. Like a nudge. My stomach dropped, the patty turning to ash. "Nudge to what?" "Backtrack." "No." He reached across the sticky table, earnest. "Just pressure. The firm's old school. Gays fine on paper, but marriage, kids? Optics." The word optics soured the air. A corporate euphemism for compromise. "So what, Justin? We play house to please the suits." "It's not that." His voice rose, drawing glances from the bartender. "But yeah, maybe, thinking ahead. Adoption, a ceremony. Make it official." I recoiled, the vision clashing with my freewheeling dreams. Galleries, travel, us untethered. Official? Like we're checkboxes on a merger. The fight simmered home, exploding in the apartment's heat. "You're overreacting," he accused, pacing the living room, takeout containers crunching underfoot. "Am I? Or are you selling out?" I shot back, voice echoing off the brick. "We fought for this, for us, and now you're folding for a paycheck?" He stopped, face crumpling. "I want forever, Austin. Is that so wrong?" "Not wrong. Just not us. Not yet." The admission hung, a divide. We slept apart that night, the bed a chasm, his snores a wall. Morning brought truces, coffee and apologies, but the seed of discord sprouted, fed by long hours and unspoken fears. July's heat wave amplified it. A weekend getaway to Fire Island, queer paradise, dunes and boardwalks buzzing with freedom, meant to reset. We rented a share house with friends, days of volleyball on the beach, his spikes sending sand flying, laughter loosening the knots. Nights, bonfires crackled as stories flowed. Coming out tales, heartbreaks healed. Under the stars, bodies slick with sweat and salt. We reclaimed each other. Urgent, animal. The oceans roared drowning doubts. But paradise has exits. Back in the city, reality crashed. A promotion for him, corner office whispers, but at the cost of weekends. My agency's queer youth project took off, billboards of diverse faces beaming from Times Square, but late nights at the studio meant empty dinners, texts substituting for touch. The betrayal brewed slow, a storm gathering. It crested in August, a client dinner he forgot to mention. Steakhouse in the financial district, power players and Elena's fiancé. A bland hedge fund bro. I found out via a group chat screenshot from Marcus. Justin beaming in a selfie, arm around Elena, caption closing deals. Rage propelled me there, bursting into the restaurant like a thunderclap, the maitre d' trailing apologies. The table froze, forks midair, Justin's face paling as I loomed. Austin, save it. My voice cut the din, eyes locked on Elena's smug pity. This your idea of optics? Old flames for show. The execs shifted uncomfortably, murmuring excuses, but Justin shoved back his chair, following me into the alley behind, the dumpster's stench a fitting backdrop. It was business. Networking. With your ex as arm candy? I whirled, tears hot. While I'm home alone, wondering if we're even real, he grabbed my arms, desperate. We are. This job, it's our future. Stability for the life we talked about. Whose future? I wrenched free. Yours with the white picket fence? Not mine. The alley echoed our screams. Accusations of selfishness, retorts of sacrifice. I gave up everything for you, he yelled, voice breaking. Family, friends. My whole goddamn identity. And I gave up peace, I countered, chest heaving. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. He crumpled against the brick, sliding down, sobs racking him. Don't leave, please. I can't lose you again. I knelt, warring with fury and love, the line blurred. Then choose. Us, raw and real, or this facade. Silence stretched, broken only by distant traffic. When he looked up, eyes shattered glass, I saw the truth. He couldn't yet. I need time. Time. The word that had doomed us before. I walked away, the city swallowing me whole, heart a lead weight. The separation was surgical this time. His things packed in a U-Haul to a sublet in Phi closer to work. Texts dwindled to logistics, rent split. Love reduced to spreadsheets. Friends divided loyalties. Marcus mediating over beers. He's a mess, man. Therapy twice a week. But you're right, he's gotta own it. Fall stripped the city bare, mirroring my soul. My career soared. A solo exhibit at a Chelsea gallery. Charcoal visions of fractured love drawing crowds and critics' praise. Vulnerable brilliance, one review gushed. But success tasted hollow. Every opening night toast echoing his absence. Thanksgiving alone in bed Stewie. I cooked for one, the TV droning football as rain lashed the windows. A knock shattered the quiet. Justin, soaked and shivering, pie in hand from his mom's recipe. Can I? I stepped aside, the doors creak a sigh. We ate in silence, pumpkin spice a bridge, until he broke. I quit the retreat circuit, told the firm, take it or leave. And Dad, he showed up last week. Awkward as hell, but he hugged me, said he's learning. Hope flickered, fragile. And us. He reached across the table, tentative. If you'll have me, no more games. Just you and me, building whatever this is. I searched his face, the bold boy reborn in weary lines. Slowly, I said, fingers lacing with his. But yeah. Winter's grip loosened into a tentative spring. Our reunion a careful dance on thawing ice. We didn't rush back to the apartment. Instead, weekends shuttled between his sterile sublet. Views of the Hudson, but soulless. And my chaotic haven, canvases leaning like sentinels. Dates were deliberate. Matinees at Film Forum, his head on my shoulder during Brokeback Mountain rewatch. Whispers of not us a vow. Therapy became tandem. A queer counselor in the West Village unpacking our scars. His internalized shame, my abandonment fears. In sessions that left us drained but closer, hands clasped under the table like talismans. Justin's pivot reshaped him. He jumped ship from Goldman to a fintech startup in Brooklyn. Ethical investing, queer-inclusive board. Longer commutes but shorter hours. Energy reclaimed for us. Evenings found him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled, attempting mom's era's con pollo, spices blooming as we bumped hips and stole tastes. See? Domestic without the dread. He'd quip, but his eyes held gratitude. The weight lifted. Family mending unfolded in fits. His parents' visit to the city. A stiff dinner at Carmine's where Dad's handshake lingered. Mom's eyes misty over tiramisu as she asked about your art, Austin. It's beautiful. No sermons, just questions, halting bridges over chasms. Mine embraced him fully. Abuela's empanadas pressed into his hands. Uncle Raul's bear hugs and mi casa es tu casa, sealing adoption. Summer hummed with milestones. Our exhibit collab, my illustrations paired with his data viz on queer economic disparities. Drew a MoMA scout, whispers of acquisition that had us toasting on the High Line at dusk, the skyline a glittering endorsement. We make a team, he said, pulling me against the railing, wind tousling his hair. On and off the page. Intimacy deepened, beyond the physical, a quiet evolution. Mornings, he'd trace my spine as sunlight slanted through blinds, murmuring dreams. A house in the Hudson Valley, maybe, with a studio and garden. Kids someday, he'd venture, tentative, and I'd nod, the vision solidifying. Not optics, but ours, adopted or surrogate, a family forged in fire. But climax brewed in the calm, as tempests do. September marked 5 years since that fateful dorm kiss. An anniversary trip to Provincetown. Cape Cod's queer mecca, dunes and drag brunches. We biked the province lands, salt air sharp, stopping at Race Point Beach where waves crashed like applause. There, under a pergola of seagrass, he dropped to one knee. Not with fanfare but raw. A simple silver band, etched with coordinates of our first bridge walk. Austin Rivera, he said, voice steady despite the tremor. Gulls wheeling overhead. You changed everything. Showed me love isn't straight lines, but curves and detours. Marry me? Build this mess with me? Tears blurred the horizon. My yes a sob as I hauled him up, kissing him fierce amid cheers from distant picnickers. The ring fit like fate, cool against fevered skin. Back in the city, elation crested into conflict's undertow. Wedding plans unearthed ghosts. His aunt's concerns via email. Think of the family image, reviving old wounds. Justin bristled, deleting the chain, but doubt seeped. A nightmare where I walked away, his pleas echoing. What if it's too much? He confessed one dawn, tangled in sheets, city stirring below. What if I betray you again? I cupped his face, grounding. You will. I'll betray you. We're human, flawed, fumbling. But we choose repair. Every day. The rehearsal dinner tested it. A low-key affair at our bed-stewy spot, friends and chosen family crammed in, laughter flowing like the Pinot. But Elena showed, uninvited, plus her fiancé. A gesture of closure, she'd texted Justin. Awkward toasts followed, her smile brittle as she clinked glasses. To new chapters. After, in the alley smoke break, she cornered me. Cigarette glowing like accusation. You know he almost chose this life, right? With me. Straight, simple. I exhaled slow, unflinching. He chose real. Messy, but true. She shrugged, flicking ash. Hope it lasts. Nearly didn't. The ceremony. A rooftop affair in Bushwick, string lights and wildflowers. Officiant a drag queen named Divinity. Unfolded under threatening skies. Vows exchanged. Rings slipped on. Our kiss sealing amid whoops and raindrops. But reception chaos erupted. Justin's dad, 3 whiskeys deep, cornering me by the bar, breath sour. This ain't right, son. He's confused. You'll ruin him. The words ignited, old fires flaring. I shoved back, voice ice. Confused? He's clearer than ever. And if you can't see that, you're the ruin. Fists clenched, the scuffle spilled. Guests pulling us apart, Justin bursting through, face thunder. Dad out. Now. The elder stormed off, door slamming like finality, leaving silence thick as fog. Justin found me later on the fire escape. Rain sheeting down, my tux sodden. I'm sorry, he choked, joining me in the deluge. He doesn't get it. Doesn't matter. I pulled him close, water streaming. We do. That's the story. The storm broke, sun-piercing clouds in a rainbow arc, cheesy, cinematic. Us. We danced barefoot in puddles, vows renewed in whispers, the city our witness. Years folded forward, humanistic in their quiet heroism. The wedding birthed a life, a brownstone in Crown Heights, bought with dual hustles. My gallery shows funding renovations, his startup equity the down payment. Kids came via adoption. First, little Mia from the foster system, her giggles filling Sundays with pancakes. Then Theo, a rambunctious foster to forever at 3, teaching us chaos and grace. Betrayals lingered as scars, not shackles. Arguments over chores flaring into deeper digs. Therapy a ritual touchstone. Justin's boldness evolved. Coming out panels at NYU, mentoring queer finance kids. His TEDx talk on queer capital going viral, a middle finger to old optics. Mine too. Exhibits touring. A memoir in sketches capturing our arc, raw and redemptive. We fought, we fucked, we forgave. The love deepening like good bourbon, smooth with age. On our 10th anniversary, back on that Brooklyn bridge at sunset, rings glinting, Mia and Theo chasing pigeons ahead. Justin stopped, echoing that first night. Changed everything, huh? I grinned, pulling him in, the skyline eternal. Forever's a good start. And in that moment, amid the hum of the city we'd claimed, we were whole, not perfect, but profoundly human. Two men, once straight lines bent into a shared curve, writing our ending one bold step at a time.